What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Free VSM. That's the message of the day. There's nothing else more that I want to say, to be honest. What we saw yesterday was an amazing performance from new MIBR. I almost feel like they need a new name to help us appreciate how this is not the same roster at all. Leo Drunky calling VSM, who got vac banned when he was younger, coming through on this team that wouldn't have picked him up otherwise. They wouldn't have picked him up if they had a team that could go to the major. But when Dead got caught with the coaching bug and they got their major points removed and then the rest of the team got dropped and then Fallen left, VSM got a chance. And what we've seen recently is that in some of these situations, Nico leaves FaZe, Kirby steps up. OG, we have Valda, we have Issa, we have players who come up under Alexi B who are achieving new heights. They're slowly climbing up to top one. That's FaZe, that's OG. There are so many new rosters. Heroic, a team with Cadian, a journeyman who's been IGLing, who's new to this level of Counter-Strike, who has kind of raised these new players, and now they're achieving so much. And all the space that's been created that I think a lot of people were worried about with older heads moving out of the way has proven that there was maybe people clogging up gatekeeping spots on top teams, and it's been pretty incredible to see how fast these teams have gotten good. The fact that MIBR have been together for practicing for a week and have already got to the point where they got the map off Astralis. They had 14-8 on Vertigo versus Astralis and lost the map in OT. They beat Furia 2-1 and lost the second map. And they don't just rush every round. They play these slow defaults that makes you feel like they have been a team for at least boot camping for at least a month. Whether it's Kogu, who doesn't have his headphones on during the game, or it's Leo, who never had the space before on Sharks or INTZ or wherever team he played on to show how good he was. Whether it's KNG, who gets to pick up the op more often now that Fallen isn't on the roster. Whether it's TRK, who's no longer playing bad spots, playing under Fallen MIBR because there are players in the team with more veteran experience. Whatever the reason is, we're seeing something insane right now. We're seeing an MIBR you can actually root for. You might be a fan of any of the other MIBR players as a whole or as individuals, but as a whole, it's been nothing but disappointment. Okay. Whatever. I'm not against Fallen as an IGL. I think on a new roster, maybe he certainly has a lot to give, and a lot of the players that are on new MIBR played this game because of Fallen. That impact is known, it's heard. But now at this point, new players taking the reins, and it's crazy that this MIBR lineup with no merits whatsoever got a spot at such a big tournament, flew to Europe, and absolutely smashed it so far. Today they're going to play against G2, and we're going to find out if they can keep it up. And of course, online maps, honeymoon period, where teams don't know how to play against them. There are factors involved that will allow MIBR to shine more brightly than they could with too much experience, if that makes sense. Too much head-to-head history with these teams. Too much known about the individual players when you press tab in the clutch. Too much known about how the way Leo Drunky wants to call mid-rounds. But watch the cast. One of the best games we've casted in a long time yesterday. And that's following the G2 match that was supposed to be even more spectacular. Don't even know who's going to win today. That's how good MIBR played. Again, it'd be one thing if they rushed every round. If they just like 4-1'd every round, if they rushed every round, no. Watch their vertigo defaults on A ramp. Watch their nuke defaults with outside with lobby control, and see how they play like they have so much experience. And today I want to talk about VSM. This guy got VAC banned when he was maybe like 13 years old or something like that, and for that reason can no longer play in majors for the rest of his life. That's garbage. Fuck that. Free VSM. I don't want to have to say anything more about that. If you don't have the opinion that he should be unbanned, you're an idiot. So it's unfortunate that that's the case, but because of these circumstances, he's able to now play on MIBR, and I'm here for all of it. I'm rooting for him. And when I look at these statistics, we actually saw a very middling performance from him stats-wise. But what I want to do differently and why we love doing the videos on this channel is because we like to shine a spotlight where there isn't one, right? And I think sometimes you watch a frag movie or two on this channel with some players' performances, but we're here to look at the details, the stuff you don't catch on the broadcast, the full picture. And for VSM, I realized I was so impressed and talking about him so much when he never even had a game where he went positive, except this final map where they won, 16-4 versus Furia. I was so impressed by VSM, and I looked at these stats, I was like, wait, what? And the reason is because VSM is one of these players, he has that special quality. Every time you look at him play, you know what he's thinking and why he's thinking it. He's rarely making a guess. He plays deliberately. He moves deliberately. And he plays his 1v1s optimally. I said this about JKS. I said this about Flush. I say this about a few players. Select few players. Zipix, of course. When they make their moves, they're deliberate. They waste no time. And I'm going to show you the example. So we're going to look at one round from this nuke game that I couldn't find from these clips. But I pulled up these clips of the 1v2s that he won here. And then there's a 1v1 I want to look at as well. These were all spectacular. Let's just go ahead and play this one.
Though that's the issue.
Is Yuri thinking about going wider is the question. They want to just hold this, wait for a mistake, but it's not coming just yet.
They have to go. And they're not quite sure where that second man is at. Damage done to Yuri. Serato playing with it. VSM looking in for the clutch. 9 HP to make the difference. There's the kill.
Do they have time?
Is there time?
That's extremely close.
Real close.
It's turning green, baby.
Woo! They nail it. No way. 14.
The excitement. That's VSM, of course. Mr. Colgate commercial himself. Whitest teeth in the game. Okay. What's special about this? Wider is the question. This was kind of not a first sign because this is near the end of the game. So this actually was not a final sign almost, but let's just see here. This is a 0.3 second diffuse, right?
But it's not coming just yet. They have to go.
Okay.
And they're not quite sure
So it's really about this 1v1 situation. Serato getting traded is no surprise. Here's the run up. So VSM is going to spot the shadow, but number one, clock's on the mind, right? That's number one. Too many times a player will be stand there, wait for the T to make a mistake, hold one side or the other, flick between the two. Maybe they do peek, maybe they do get the kill, but then it's too late. VSM knows he has to run the whole time. That's number one.
VSM.
Number two, he's holding one side, but he's trying to get info on both. He's spotting for this peek just in case,
Looking in for the clutch.
but he sees a shadow, and then when he sees the shadow, the peek's not coming in.
9 HP to make the
He switches to the other side, gets the
kill.
damage in that he needs to. It's all just beautiful. Immediately onto the bomb. Diffuse again in the last.
That's extremely close. Real close. It's turning green, baby.
If he had wasted even a fraction of a second running, he would have lost. These are small things, right? And some of us can do this really well every single time. But with those, some people do not. Some people would mess that clutch up in the pro scene. I promise you. I promise you there are many situations where a pro would mess that up in the pro scene. We've seen that happen too many times. They expect the other person to make a mistake. They don't understand how important it is that they think about the clock, everything clocked down in these clutches. Clock down. That's the important thing. We're going to look at this in this next clutch, 1v2 here versus Furia. And we're going to look at this clock down, okay? First of all, this is insanely well played as well. So the smoke comes down here on lane.
Low. He's going to have to swap to the sidearm to
He
close.
actually, instead of, he jumps over Haycart to clear the site. And this is the moment where he knows. Actually, I want the full video so you can just see everything that goes through his mind in this moment.
And while both these players incredibly
Okay.
Here.
oh, nice boost.
Yeah,
He's gonna get caught. What?
Whoa, hold on a second.
That smoke was like a little bit
Yeah, as you mentioned.
Unlucky.
strange. The trades will come through.
KNG, he had an inkling as to what was going down there, decided not to pull the trigger, and Lucas
And we'll
will
see what
finds
info
the
he
headshot
gets.
into Yuri.
The TRK is tucked in.
sprays from the corner. Lucas finding his second, but TRK not yet having a teammate to help him out. Leo in full support mode just can't quite exit library fast enough, and he sticks around to
So
a fight that
VSM does
loses his
not
head.
actually get this info, okay? VSM knows that Henny's planting the bomb within sight. He probably knows exactly where the bomb's getting planted, and he's thinking one is pit because these are the two most common positions for Tees to go, because pit is the most powerful position, and the bomb plant zone is the most obvious crossfire, as well as a perfectly good spot to play.
Have praised VSM, but he is 3-12, and while both these
See, I praised VSM. I was just nonstop talking about him, even though he was 3-12. I swear to God, this guy is something special.
players incredibly low.
So here, a lot of people might wait, peek on the side of the hay cart. He moves along quickly. I want to point that out.
He's gonna have to swap to the sidearm to close.
Oh,
Or else
man.
And
it's
you can see what's on his
double digit to
mind.
the T side of Furia. Quesarado falls first.
Oh, that's actually so sick.
VSM back in with the op. Henny posted on the box.
And here, he knows.
VSM's just gonna let
He
this one.
knows.
He's holding this side of the box, right? To see if Henny, off this smoke, is going to move into a new position, because cold can get obvious. When you're sitting there for too long, this is where people will end up a lot of the times in the 1v1. So he's thinking either, Henny's thinking maybe I play time, whatever, maybe he doesn't know where I am. VSM thinks, I'm going to make sure it's everything else. Clock down, okay, he's got lots of time on the clock here.
Sink in.
He knows.
Yeah, he's starting to figure it out. Clearing his corners, has to check close.
And you can see, it's not that he was, it's not that he was, it's not that he was just wasting time clearing everything out because he really did know. It's that he had enough time to make sure, right? If Henny did make some kind of weird play where he went through the smoke on the hay cart or whatever, went behind the default box instead of sitting at cold, he could clear all that stuff. VSM was just going through the motions with enough time to spare very quickly out the get-go to catch the first kill, separated his 1v1s, and it was perfectly
with 5
played.
frags, he's got a clutch to his name and a fourth on the board. This player's incredibly low. He's gonna have to swap to the sidearm to close.
Oh,
Or else it's double digit to the T side of Furia. Quesarado falls first.
You almost never see someone
VSM
approach
back in
pit
with
like
the
that.
op. Henny posted on
See,
the
he's holding for the
box.
right side peak.
And VSM's
Nothing.
Just gonna let
He
this one
knows.
sink in.
He's
He
zoning
knows.
him right now,
Yeah,
whether
he's starting to
Henny
figure
knows it
out.
or not.
Clearing his corners, has to check close. And, the no scope connects.
He was waiting. He was waiting to see if Henny wants to go through any timings. Right? No. Boom. This is my. I 60, 70% know you're here. Boom. I'm committing to this one angle. Once he peeks into cold, he exposes himself to back default. That's his risk. But he's done so much subtly to make sure that he can be confident about that. That's what's so nice about that. Those are the 2 rounds here, and then this is another round where, again, you can see exactly what he's thinking. Okay, and I'm gonna talk you through the clutch. This round he plays. This round he plays. Oh, whoops! Sorry, I should switch scenes here. Okay, we're in the game. Okay, 1-on-2. Vinny actually falls out of heaven and dies here. We don't see it from this perspective, but he actually falls out of heaven. But here's where the 1v1 comes in. All right. That's Vinny's dead body, I think, right there, on the other, right in front of ESM. So when you are upper sight, so this is the play. This is the clutch that is not actually something unique, but it's one of the best examples of a clutch where I can look at it and show you exactly why he moved in every single spot and tell you what he was thinking, and based on the info that we know from his screen right now. So here, I think he actually is going to get the call that Henny was heaven. So this is something he'll know in a second. His teammates tell him because we knew that he had that info. So here looks at heaven. Now he'll get the bomb. All right, so if someone is in heaven in a 1v1 situation, you know a few things here. They can walk out of heaven, number 1. They can stay in heaven, number 2. They can wrap to mini, number 3. The longest play they can make is to go back around to hut. But you wouldn't normally do that unless you had plenty and plenty of time, okay? If you had started that journey earlier, then that's how you catch the timing. But if you take too long, then there's no point in actually flanking down the ladder, walking all the way through ramp, all the way back hut. So the 2 plays we're thinking is something to do with heaven or something mini, okay? This is what you should be thinking about in this exact situation that will happen to you many, many times. So what is the best play to make? Here, he'll try to pull him out of heaven. Okay, try to catch him walking out. Nothing. The second play that could be made here, of course, late peek, something like that. Because even at this point, actually, Henny, if he's in heaven, is thinking if VSM fakes plants, he could go vent. Of course, you see and you know now vent is coming, right? Because if those are the plays that you can make, nobody will gamble heaven to go ramp, to go lower in this spot if the bomb can be planted upstairs. This is why the T's have full control in this position. But you can very easily throw it away if you do something stupid. If you don't do something stupid, this is actually a free win, and we're gonna see how now. So now there is the opportunity for mini flank from a heaven player. He's watching here. Perfect angle clear. This is a real threat. This isn't just clearing things just cause. Now for that lurk, and that's it. He's off. He knows the rotate's gonna come through. This is where, again, thinking about heaven, this is where the ramp flank could come in. Henny makes a big mistake here, and he hears him drop vent. And now VSM will hold. He takes an off angle, right? Not perfectly flat angle, just somewhere in the middle here. And he doesn't hear anything. No way Henny has been walking up to the corner and waiting for that long. Pushes through, and now this push through is only so that he doesn't have to watch his back anymore. So you go and clear that out just so that you can face forward now to the site. Because you cannot stand here looking this way if you're unsure of where the other person is if you haven't cleared that out. So waits for the push, knows that Henny has to make a play. Time is ticking against Henny. So Henny's the one who eventually has to make a move. All these timings are really perfect, and that's the round. The bomb is planted back site. He had to make this play this way. When he made noise in the vent, it's iced out. And this wasn't a clutch that was clipped by HLTV. Because it's just kind of a 1v1, but every little bit of the movement here was just so right, okay? You could see he never doubted himself. Everything he did had a purpose, and all of the timings were just beautiful. Like, he kind of, like, spotted for heaven. He took the risks where he wanted to with the fake plant. And the best part about the fake plant as well is that you can, if they don't push out, then you know that they're even less likely to peek, right? If you do plant, then you're going to be scared of, did they walk out heaven and have to hold the right side of the silo? Did he walk out heaven? Do I have to hold the left side of the rafters? But this way, it's a huge victory to not see anybody. Also, when you fake plant, you threaten to show the other team that you might do something crazy. You might do something else. Moves it off angle. There it is. Any last second peek. No timing window whatsoever possible. Now not seeing heaven, considering ramp just in case. Smoke to show that he could cross. And that's the mistake that wins. and it's just done. That's it. That point is just done. As soon as he gets that much info, it's over. I love this. I had so much fun watching BSM. I'm going to have so much fun watching BSM today. Oh, and I got a funny story before I go. I know the intros, this is a weird video because I normally don't do this, but I've honestly, it's election day. We were staying up watching election stuff, and I should be waking up earlier to do the videos to get them done early in the morning, but I end up doing them kind of like before I need to leave. And yesterday I had the art video done the same time, the same day. So I need to get my schedule figured out because right now our games are very late. Our call time is 6:30 at night. So we do one best of 3 at like 7:30. Sometimes it goes until midnight. And I'm like wired staying up, and then I sleep in, and it's kind of a weird schedule. Don't really like having to wake up like that, but it's nice having a late call time, but it's a little bit late with how late the day ends. Yesterday at the end of our game, so we have these scrawnyisms, right? They're really funny, where Scrawny will say, in one game, I remember he said this. This is where he messes up an idiom slightly. So in one game he said, it's an easy day in the park, when it should be a walk in a park or an easy day in the office. He said, it's an easy day in the park for Zipix or whoever it was. And then another one, he said, man, this round rests on a razor's edge, which it could be razor thin margins or a knife's edge. Now, mind you, all of these phrases actually still make sense the way he's saying them, but they're slightly wrong from the classic idioms that he's referencing. So he's mixing up two different ones in a way that still works. And then he said, on that same day, he said, they've got the bark to back up their bite, which still makes sense, but it doesn't quite hit like they've got the bite to back up their bark, which probably makes more sense. So he does stuff like that, which is pretty funny. And I tweeted out Connorisms. I called them, where he mixes two idioms together. And I guess that's kind of like Trailer Park Boys. Get two birds stoned at once, that kind of thing. And yesterday at the end of the game, a very epic cast that ended on Vertigo. You can go and watch the final moments. Connor is closing out and talking up MIBR to hype up MIBR because they just had an excellent performance. And he goes, we've got a new Brazilian hot dog. And then he says it with so much conviction, so much oomph, that I'm like listening and I'm thinking, hot dog? Hot, like fiery hot. Yeah, okay. Like I kind of rationalized it because of how much confidence was in his voice. But he did just scream, we've got a new Brazilian hot dog, in reference to MIBR at the top of his lungs. And then right after the game is done, Connor takes off his glasses and puts them down on the counter and goes, I meant to say top dog. And I'm sitting there fucking crying for like 5 minutes. You can hear us on the analyst desk. I was laughing so hard. This epic moment after such a long series with so many like frustrating moments, so much emotions on the webcam. And this guy goes, we've got a new Brazilian hot dog. I cried. That was a highlight of my day for sure. And then Blast tweeted out, we've got a new prediction hot dog. And of course, we're never going to let them forget this. Of course, you should be tweeting at Connor stuff about hot dogs. I call him corn dog, actually. So, we've got a new Canadian hot dog. Whatever you want to tweet at him, you need to let him know, okay? He'll never live this down. We'll never let him forget about this epic moment in Counter-Strike history where he called MIBR the new Brazilian hot dogs. Love that. All right. Got a little bit of the intro at the end. There's a lot of experiences and stuff like that to talk about here with the event and stuff. And sorry for not having longer intros, but we'll get back to it. There's stuff that I just have so much that I can talk about. So there'll be more coming, and I'll try to get on a better schedule. But as always, appreciate you watching, and free VSM, free him.